single Mitch cons married Mitch, Kristen, and us, the viewers.
Mitch is on his way back to a conference.
Welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about Lifetime Network's reality-based TV series, Married at First Sight, season number 15, episode number 17.
But before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please send us your comments, and please click that notification button so you know when we upload new videos. Mitch decided that Kristen is not a good match for him.
Yeah, he was nervous. He pretended to be nervous coming into the decision, leading into decision day. And what made it so interesting about it from their point of view was that his wife, Kristen, said that she was going to come into decision day and follow her gut. That thing that women have called intuition.
Yeah, well, her intuition hadn't been on point since this whole thing started. Based on his relationship and their involvement for 8 weeks, it seems like she elevated his game to some degree. And
gave him some insight about what things he needs to work on in order to be in a position to be, a husband, a decent husband.
But he said that when they came in, when they sat down to make a decision whether they were there or not.
Mm-hmm.
And for Kristen, unfortunately, she was in a fantasy land of her own making after Mitch said that, she was a great fit for him, that she realized how closed off he was, and she opened him up a little bit.
And he's better as a result of it?
And he's better a human as a result of it. That tells you where he was before he met this woman.
Yeah.
People like him more because he is now more open.
Mm-hmm.
So based on all that, he believes that she is not a good match for him. I think that attraction piece was still big for him. He knew that on their honeymoon. He expressed that. She felt hurt by it. But I think Mitch should have known, like every man knows, if you're not attracted to a woman initially, there's not a whole lot. I mean, it can happen, but there's not a whole lot to change your mind. Am I wrong about that?
No, preach on the subject, sister. He was, disingenuous, and here's why. He said before he revealed his decision not to proceed on being Kristen's husband as something that was not easy for him.
Yes.
Okay? First of all...
But he made the decision, he said, the night before.
Right. Okay, which I don't think was accurate to begin with. He made that decision a while ago, and I think, at least from my vantage point, and just decided to go along to see if he would change his mind. There were times where you actually thought that maybe he was, but I think he was acting.
No, he was conning us all.
Right, he was acting.
And he wasn't so thrilled when he saw her. And that did not change, ladies and gentlemen.
Over 8 weeks?
Over 8 weeks after she gave it up. That didn't change his mind. And again, that's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
A woman can't expect to elevate a man so that he can get with her. Okay, I used you for my purposes, and I'm now on to the next, because now I'm no more confident. I know a thing or two, so I can move on to get what I actually wanted. And I think that Mitch should have eliminated himself the second or third week, because he knew he and Kristen was not vibing. But he stayed for that sex, though.
Yeah, and he stayed for that cheddar, too.
Uh-huh.
She did say that there's a ton to love about Mitch, okay? And that might be true from her vantage point. I get, why she might feel the same. She might feel that way to an extent, okay? But I cannot believe in her heart of hearts that she could possibly ignore, I guess, what I consider to be the flashing red lights and warning signs.
No, those
about
warning
who,
signs were on.
right,
They were not flashing. They were on permanently
right.
for 8 weeks.
Okay, okay. I cannot begin to believe that she would ignore those constant red lights and or flashing warning lights and not have some pause to say, okay, I can't go on like this much sooner than she actually did.
I saw Kristen challenge Mitch twice in this whole sequence of 8 weeks from the foolishness coming out of his mouth.
On camera.
On
yeah.
camera.
On camera. Right.
Twice.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still ready to buddy up with him, even after he told her that I don't want to go forward.
Yeah.
She had this idea in her head that, okay, he's only saying that now, but I'm
leave
still,
the door cracked.
I'm gonna leave the door cracked. So we're gonna keep being friends, and we're gonna have a good relationship. And she was so completely giddy, even after the fact. She's holding his hand,
walking
and
away
she's
after
walking
the
away
decision.
with like she's
Arm in
supporting
arm.
him.
Right, right.
And he looked like like he was like limp. Mm-hmm. And she is supporting him as they
Holding
walk away, holding him up.
Yeah, and left.
And that's how the relationship was.
Left past the Calvin.
Scratching his head.
He was doing this, y'all.
Scratching his head.
Trying to figure out. I don't get it.
So
I don't get it. I didn't either.
After the fact, when they meet up the following day with the other couples
at the picnic.
At the picnic, they were asked what their decision was, because all the couples didn't know what the other couple decided on. And they asked Mitch, and Mitch said that I said no, that this wasn't working for him. He's fine if they have a friendship, but anything beyond that, it's not a go for him. She said that she's gonna leave that door ajar, because hopefully he's gonna see what he's missing. These are my words, not hers. And maybe come back, because she is that kind of catch. Okay. Alexis asked him, you're waiting for this man to call you to continue a relationship.
Presumably to realize what he lost and all that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they asked Mitch, well, how do you feel? And Mitch said that he was resolute. He's not sure what Kristen is saying about a relationship and leaving a door open, but he was resolute. He has made his decision. He's not interested in a relationship, a friendship maybe, but a relationship. And all of us,
as her face cracks and falls right to the floor,
he broke her face completely. Her fantasy land is over.
B move, so Mitch. B move.
Now she's aware of who she's dealing with.
Right, right.
And then finally she gets the gumption to come before the camera and said the Mitch she met is after 8 weeks is the same dude she met earlier.
Oh, really?
That he fooled a whole lot of people, including herself, and that he was not authentic. So now she comes to that realization. And her silliness talking about leaving a door open for him was a non-starter.
It was foolish.
And that's when Lindy said to kick that door bolted and locking.
Yeah.
So it took that, him breaking her face in front of all the other couples and those who were watching, for her to come to her senses.
That was a B move on Mitch's part.
We cannot change a man's opinion about us or anything else. The only thing we can change is ourselves, and how we move and how we operate in life.
In terms of what his brother Matt said to him a few episodes prior to about valuing what's important in a relationship, where in the form of your other partner.
I have a different take on it. I think Mitch is entitled to say who he is attracted to or who
Of course, we all are, right?
But
I'm attracted to you, and that's what that's what I'm about. Okay, right?
But he doesn't have to waste our time. He doesn't have to go through an 8-week period to come back to the place he was in the beginning.
Because he started off.
He could have said in like week 2, week 3.
He could have been honest, is what you're saying.
I'm out. I'm not feeling this sister. She's not my type. I'm headed out the door.
Stay there for the chatter.
So she doesn't have to get emotionally involved in him.
He'll find what he's looking for at a conference.
He took out that ring, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that was a big indication that this man is not for her.
Mm-hmm.
After 8 weeks, Mitch did not change. And he was still as brutal with his words. And while he may say he's an honest person, clearly he was not honest in this situation. I just thought that Kristen, based on the nightmare relationship she's been through, particularly her fiance having an affair, that she would be more aware in her intuition
and more discerning
of the men that she's dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because like it or not, a woman who's on the hunt for a man is in a very vulnerable place, and Kristen was in a vulnerable place, and I think she made the wrong decision with this dude.
Well,
and she was in that fantasy land, and she stayed in that fantasy land, and it's unfortunate that he had to deal with her so publicly in his rejection of her.
I think time was wasted, not only hers, but also, ours as well. And I just think that she deserves better. And I think Lindy said that.
Yeah.
Lindy says she deserves more than an open,
right.
A cracked door, for somebody else to come through that, who values and appreciates and respects her and loves her, like she should.
Right.
I wish both of them well individually, especially as it relates to Kristen, because I think the right guy is out there for her, but she just has to be a little bit more discerning and trust that women's intuition component in her life, and continue to develop herself and be all she can be, and that guy will come to her, the right one, and not a Mitch.